So when people begin to practice, they get spotty, good success. And the reason for that is, as you mentioned, that you forget to keep looking and keep finding unwholesome thoughts.
Yeah.
Actually, you're not finding the unwholesome thoughts, they just kind of take over.
Right.
And you don't see them coming, and so they've got you. So there's a very easy way to handle that, and that is by using the breathing. That in fact, the whole practice is called mindfulness while breathing. And if you start to control the breath to make sure that they're long, deep, easy breaths, one after another, guess what? You have to remember each breath to be a long, easy in breath, and then to again remember to have a long, easy out breath. That these are not automatic. Automatic breathing is shallow breathing, it's conservative breathing. And we're going to be doing rich breathing. And so you can't control your breath unless you're also controlling the mind, because the mind is controlling the breath, and hence the buildup of the skill of Sati. Now, with a long, deep in breath, there's plenty of time for thinking. Thinking is pretty fast. Breathing is fairly slow. We're talking about taking, actually, it really doesn't matter. A lot of students want to know exactly how long to breathe. And I don't recommend counting all the time or on a regular basis, but you can play with it a little bit in the sense of starting to breathe, let us say at a 5-5-2, which means you count to 5 on an in breath and then count to 5 on an out breath, and then count to 2 between the out breath and the in breath. Okay, to get a feel for it. Now, if that counting is done once a second, that means that that's 12 breaths. Well, 12 into 60 is 5, for that means that you're breathing 5 breaths a minute. Now, normal breathing is at 20. The psychologists and the neuroscientists and the doctors and all of that have monitored people's breathing for a long time. And so the normal breath for humans is about 20 breaths a minute. And we're going to start bringing that down to, say, 5. When you're breathing really long and slow, it would be down to 3. What is that? That would be an 8-8-4. That would be 20, count of 20, which would be 3 breaths a minute if you're counting at one breath. But normally when people are counting, they count a little faster than that, and that's okay. You don't have to get it to counting exactly 1 second, right? But what we're talking about is gaining some length in the breathing process consciously.
Okay.
The emphasis is not on the counting, the emphasis is on to remember that you're keeping the breath long, slow, and the kind of thoughts that you want to have is, wow, this is really nice way of breathing. I've had students come back and say, oh, I get really tired when I'm breathing that way. And the answer to that is, you're not breathing the way that I talked about. You're breathing in a way that makes you tired. We're looking for a way that makes you relax and feel comfortable and easy. Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
As you're breathing this way, you have to remember then one count or one cycle has 2 opportunities of Sati. And this will really keep your Sati strong and make it a skill that makes it stronger. Now, the phrase in the suttas Thus, one trains oneself to train to remember that if you're not paying close attention to the breath, the mind will wander away very easy. In fact, in the Goenka method, they call it anapana because there's no sati. And as they breathe in and as they breathe out, the mind can wander away very easy. And a lot of people say, don't control your breath. Well, it's right there in the sutta. Mindfully breathe in long. Is that controlling or what? Mindfully breathing out long. Is that controlling or what? That's the whole point that most people are missing in Western system. And if you're controlling the breathing, you're controlling the mind, and you're remembering to keep coming back. And it's possible even then for the mind to wander away. But if you're just watching the breath, the mind will wander away easily because you've got no dog in the fight. But if you're actually engaged with the breathing by breathing in long and breathing out long, you then can control the breathing better. Now, also with the mind, we want to make sure that we're gladdening the mind in this process and that we use the body to do that. An example would be that you don't want to practice in a dangerous situation. It's not a good idea to practice anapanasati at the police station or at a hospital, or even for many people in a meditation retreat camp setting. Why? Because it's not dangerous and it's not safe and it's not comfortable. You think that people are watching you. Everybody gets subconscious. Women especially get subconscious or self-conscious. And so make sure that when you're practicing alone so that you're actually physically, in reality, safe. With no dogs barking, nobody looking at you, no snakes crawling up your leg, no pythons wrapping around you, no alligators nipping at your toes, nothing like that. You're in seclusion and you can feel safe. Well, actually, you are safe physically. But most people don't feel safe. Most people have tensions, anxieties, they have heart palpitations, they have panic attacks, and they have worries and frustrations and things that they're thinking about. While in reality, the body is safe. So now we're going to start talking about things that are safe. I am safe. And if you recognize mentally that you're safe, and in reality the body physically is safe, that allows you to kind of talk yourself into feeling safe. But this is why this is not affirmations. Because people will talk about an affirmation, oh, I'm safe, while they're actually in a dangerous situation. No, you actually have to get into a safe situation so that you can actually deal with reality. And then we have the body in a comfortable posture. A lot of the meditation that people are doing, they put their body in uncomfortable positions, but sitting up straight in a chair is a comfortable position. So now that the body is comfortable, you can talk to yourself about, wow, this is nice, this is comfortable. Then you can begin to feel comfortable. Okay? Now, all of this has again to do with Sati, to remember to sit up straight, to remember that you're safe, to remember that you're physically safe, to remember that you can say things that you're safe, and then you can begin to feel safe. Now, if you can feel safe and secure and comfortable, then the next item can be that we can start talking to ourselves about being satisfied. This is okay. Everything is good. No place to go, nothing to do, got no items on the to-do list right now. And then the mind will come up with an item for the to-do list, and we can say, never mind, start again, empty that to-do list, that in fact the job that needs to be done is to come to the end of having jobs to do. I mean, isn't that reality?
Yeah.
The whole point about having a job well done is that the job is finished. There's no more job now. Let us say that the automobile mechanic has to change the clutch on a car. Well, after he takes the clutch out, replaces the clutch, puts the car back together and testing it, now the job is done. So this is the state that we have to get into, is the state of feeling that the job has been done. And I'm satisfied now. The work is complete. The job that had to be done is done. And what is that job? To remove the hindrances, to remove the unwholesome thoughts, and to come into a state of satisfaction. And that's basically all there is to it. And we do this over and over and over and over and over again. And I would recommend that you practice this for 5 or 10 minutes at a time and do it multiple times a day, 5 or 6 times a day. That in fact, if you spend 10 minutes 6 times a day, that's an hour, except that we've broken that hour up. And a lot of meditation teachers say, oh, you have to spend an hour a day. Well, yeah, but if you spend 1 hour a day just doing it, then most of the time people are not going to be doing it. They're going to be in hindrances a lot of the time. They're not watching their breath and making it long and comfortable, so they get drowsy. And so part of that hour is wasted. But even so, we have had hindrances for all of these years. And now we have a regimen or a routine to where we're trying to practice being free from the hindrances 1 hour a day, leaving 23 hours a day of hindrances. This is why it's a good point to break this timing up so that you're coming back to it over and over again throughout the day. And pretty soon you'll remember to start filling in the gaps. So this is the way that we would practice over and over and over again. And when we start to practice this way, guess what? We begin to get good at it. We begin to feel comfortable and confident that we can do this. Now, this is the next item on the list. This is actually part of the Eightfold Noble Path. This is called Samma Sankappa, which is referred to as right intention, which is an okay definition, or right thought, which is not a very good definition. But Samma Sankappa has to do basically with attitude. And we're beginning to change our attitude. Everybody is born with and maintains a victim's attitude. In fact, the biggest victim on the planet Earth right now is Donald Trump. He will blame anybody for anything. Anything that he don't like, he'll blame somebody else for it. And we can begin to come out of our blaming. Oh, I don't know how to practice. That's blaming. And we begin to stop being a complainer and start being a satisfied winner. I can do this. No matter what kind of thoughts I have, I can come out of those hindered thoughts and come back and see the reality of the situation. And the reality is that I'm safe, I'm secure, I'm comfortable, and I'm satisfied. And now I'm successful. And being successful takes us out of that attitude of being a victim and brings us into the attitude of being on top of your own world. You've got it made, at least right now. And then those victim thoughts and victim feelings will come back, but pretty soon you begin to see them and say, aha, I see you. Aha, I see you, Mara. And then we can come back, start again. Come back into that feeling of safety, security, and comfort. but it has to be practiced over and over and over again, right? And as we
Yeah.
practice it, we become, let us say, confident that we can do this. And that's the practice. And we're
Okay.
adding a new thing to it, and that is on top of the satisfaction becomes the confidence that you can do this. So there is an old statement of everyone. Each and every one of us is an emperor of our own pile of dirt. The question is, are you going to be buried under your pile of dirt, which is where most people are living? You're going to be clawing your way out of the pile of dirt, which is what most Buddhist meditation teachers are doing and students. Or you can just come right out with your attitude to come right out and be on top of the world. Hey, I've got this. I've got
Yeah.
that. Okay, so this is the way that we're practicing, is to gain that confidence that I can keep bringing the mind out of the dirt and come back and be on top of the world. Lokatara.
Mm.
On top of the world.
Okay, that makes sense.
All right. You think you can do this?
Yeah.
All right. So, do you have any more questions?
I don't know. I feel like it's not really changing much during each sit. Like
Well,
I feel,
hear that attitude. That's a
yeah.
defeatist. That's your old attitude. When you have those feelings and when you have that thought, because that's not a feeling, that's a thought, that
Mm.
this ain't good enough. I'm not getting anything out of it. Recognize that that's your habit. And say, aha, I see you. I see you, victim, with your victim's words. And say, never mind, I can do this. So long as you keep having those kind of thoughts of this ain't good enough, then it ain't good enough. And you're dissatisfied.
Okay.
So see those words and recognize, oh, I've been living my whole life like that, and I'm going to make a change.
And I guess when we're just going about our day, what are ways we can practice mindfulness? Or should we just recognize that we're having unwholesome thoughts and convert them into thoughts of
Yes.
wholesomeness?
While you're going about your day, you can actually start paying attention to the body. You can start paying attention to your hands. Look at what your hands are doing. That in meditation practice, we normally are taught to keep the hands still, but now that you're going about your day, you use your hands mindlessly. So start watching what you're doing with the hands. Remember, and the easy way to remember is by slowing your movements down.
Okay.
Another one is to remember to keep your hands away from your face. Because your hands are dirty.
Yeah.
Always our hands are dirty. Keep them away from the face. And that will help you to develop sati, is by watching what your hands are doing. Watching when you get up out of a chair. Why do you get up out of a chair? And every time you sit back down in a chair, use that as a moment of relaxing and taking a deep breath. Wow, I've taken a load off. Wow, I've finished the job. And we'll talk about this stuff later. But right now, this is the way to begin to practice.
Okay.
Don't want to load you down with too much.
I think that's all I had.
Yeah, start watching what your hands are doing. Start looking at when you get out of your chair. Start looking
Okay.
at it when you get back, sit back down. You're taking a load off your feet, so take a load off your mind at the same time.
Okay.
Okay? All right. You go practice that for a few days and give me a call.
All right. See you.
Okay. We'll see
Bye.
you.